Jordan Chase, an FBI agent, drives down a quiet stretch of road after a family gathering. Despite his calm demeanor and years of training, he feels unease as he drives down the suburban streets. He has experienced racial profiling and is often pulled over by officers who see only his skin. As he drives, flashing lights fill his rearview mirror, and he realizes he is within the limit. He pulls over to the side of the road, leaving his hands resting calmly on the steering wheel. His father had taught him to keep his hands visible, be respectful, and comply, regardless of who he is. As the officers pull up behind him, they see a black man driving a nice car late at night. Jordan, a trained agent, is unsure of what to do, but the officer inside his patrol car sees the driver and passenger. The officer's words become ingrained in Jordan's survival instinct as he prepares for the next encounter. Jordan, a young man in his mid-30s, is pulled over by an older officer who is watching him from all angles. The officer knocks on the window, but Jordan doesn't flee and remains calm. He hands over his driver's license and registration, indicating he is coming from a family gathering. The officer's skeptical, accusatory tone suggests that Jordan doesn't belong in the neighborhood and that his presence in the car is wrong. Jordan asks for help, but the officer's judgment and assumption that Jordan doesn't belong there make him feel judgmental. The officer then orders Jordan to step out of the car, leaving Jordan to face the officer's judgment. Jordan is surprised by the sudden escalation of an encounter with officers. He complies with everything and is reassured by the officer's hand resting on his gun. The officers seem tense and waiting for an excuse to act. Jordan stands by the side of the road, unsure if they have any weapons on him. The older officer, Scott, tries to reassure Jordan that he is unarmed and his badge is in the glove compartment. Scott chuckles, but Jordan's distrust grows within him. Jordan knows that sometimes the best way to survive encounters is to remain calm and let them unfold. The tension thickens as officers continue to circle him, throwing out insults and accusations. Jordan's calm demeanor masks his frustration, but he knows better than to let it show. Jordan was accused of a stolen car with drugs in the trunk. Logan, a partner of Brooks, questioned his credentials and integrity, arguing that they were all based on preconceived judgments and racial bias. Jordan, who had been through this routine before, couldn't let his emotions control his actions, especially when the stakes were high. Logan questioned if they were being professional and if they were just going to let him off with slick talk. Brooks, less assured than his partners, suggested checking Jordan's ID, but Logan sneered as if Brooks's suggestion was an annoyance rather than common sense. Logan questioned Jordan's motives and if he had something to hide, as he believed he was driving a car like this. The conversation between Jordan and Logan was filled with skepticism and suspicion as they questioned the credibility of Jordan's credentials and his ability to handle the situation professionally. Logan and Brooks are searching for an innocent man driving home from a family gathering. They are searching for something that would justify their assumptions about Jordan, who is an innocent man. Jordan is not involved in the investigation, but Logan is determined to find out. Brooks is hesitant to let go of Jordan, as he believes Logan has already decided who Mark Mar-Us is, and nothing will change his mind. Logan's anger is evident as he tries to make Jordan feel guilty for not leaving anything in plain sight. Brooks is left with a sense of guilt, and Logan is determined to find out the truth. He believes that being part of the system makes him better than others, and that he is always trying to play the victim when caught. Jordan is in a tense encounter with Officer Logan, who is intent on escalating the situation. He is trying to stay calm and not cause trouble, but Logan is too focused on his own ego and prejudice. Jordan is trying to retrieve his badge and clear the situation up, but Logan is too distracted. Jordan is concerned that losing his temper could escalate the situation further. Logan's eyes flicker with a dark and reckless idea, and Jordan knows that the next move could be far worse than verbal harassment. He remains calm, a skill he has honed over years of dealing with hostile situations. As Logan continues to hover, the situation becomes more dangerous than usual. The only sound is the distant hum of a passing car and the crackling of radio chatter from the patrol vehicle. Jordan, torn between following orders and recognizing the dangerous line they are nearing. Logan is venomous and angry, accusing Jordan of being a slick and cooperative officer. He believes that the absence of evidence is not proof of innocence, but a challenge and provocation. Logan is not here to enforce the law anymore, but to assert his dominance. Jordan feels the situation slipping further out of control, and Logan is trying to teach him a lesson. Brooks hesitates to say something, but Logan turns to Jordan, expressing his dissatisfaction with the rhetoric that black men are inherently a problem to be controlled and a danger to be subdued. Jordan remains calm and firm, asking for respect from Logan. Logan laughs and admits that he has been lying since he pulled Jordan over. Jordan's restraint is becoming harder to maintain, and Logan pulls back, revealing the truth about the situation. Jordan is hesitant to follow him. Logan is rummaging around in the car's front seat, bringing a lighter from his pocket. Jordan is shocked to see his car on fire, and Brooks is hesitant to move. Logan, who is in charge of the situation and is in serious trouble. Brooks is panicking, and Logan realizes that setting a man's car on fire is not something he can walk away from, as it is a federal crime. He knows there are lines he has crossed that cannot be uncrossed. Jordan is left with anger and a need to think clearly about his next move, as his career, dignity, and safety have been assaulted. Logan has made a mistake, and the fire is consuming his car, causing him to lose his power and control. The fire is not just burning Jordan's car, but also the illusion of control Logan had wrapped himself in. Jordan is left feeling frightened and realizes that this is not just about a traffic stop, but about power control and the deep-rooted racism that men like Logan carry with them. Jordan has spent years in the FBI dealing with dangerous criminals, but this encounter feels personal to him. Officer Brooks, a pale and panicked officer, calls for backup in the fire department. The situation has spiraled out of control, and Jordan can see the fear in Brooks' eyes as he tries to make sense of the situation. Logan set fire to an FBI agent's car, causing a fire that consumed everything inside. Jordan was left with a loss of his FBI badge and identification. Logan was shocked to see the badge visible, and for the first time, he felt fear for his life. The situation was not just about the car, but the fact that he had committed a felony against a federal officer. The consequences of the incident were unknown, and if the fallout reached, it would have far-reaching consequences. The three men, Logan, Jordan, and Brooks, were locked in a tense silence, with the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on them. Logan was the first to break the silence, panicking and unsure of how to fix the situation. Brooks, incredulous, asked how they could fix the situation, but Logan clenched his fists in desperation, stating that they were not done if they didn't stick together. The FBI agents, Jordan and Brooks, are in a dangerous situation as they try to stop an arson attack on Jordan's car. Ellis, an arson officer, is accused of committing a federal crime. Scott, shaken by the situation, is unsure how to handle the situation. Ellis's fear and guilt are overwhelming, and they must confront the consequences of their actions. Scott, feeling defeated, decides to continue digging himself deeper. The fire grows intense, and the flames dance in the background, causing guilt, fear, and looming consequences. The fire rages on, and the flames grow taller and hotter. Marcus watches as his car is reduced to ashes, and Ellis stands frozen, staring into the flames. He feels disbelief, anger, and terror, realizing he has crossed a line he cannot uncross. His confidence has evaporated, and he looks like a man standing on the edge of a cliff, realizing the depth of the fall. The fall was a devastating event that highlighted the abuse of power, racial bias, and reckless disregard for Jordan's rights. Logan knew that he couldn't cover up the damage caused by the fire. Brooks called for backup and fire support, but Logan remained focused on the flames. Jordan felt the weight of the moment sink in, realizing that he had been part of something that could destroy his career, reputation, and possibly his life. The heat from the fire intensified, and Jordan felt the burning rage from the destruction of his property and the deeper injustice he had faced. Logan muttered, "We can fix this," but Brooks shook his head, realizing that they had crossed the line. Jordan's gaze shifted between the two officers, and Logan realized the depth of the situation. He decided to make a call to the captain, claiming it was an accident. Brooks, frustrated, realized that Logan had set fire to a federal agent car and that there was no way to cover up. Jordan, a former FBI officer, is grappling with the gravity of his actions and the weight of the gravity of his actions. he struggles to remain calm and maintain control, as he has spent years in the FBI learning to navigate high-pressure situations. Logan, a man torn between loyalty to his partner and the realization that they crossed a line, is urging Scott to tell the truth. Brooks' resignation is met with venom, as Logan believes the truth will save them. Jordan stands tall, his mind racing with the events that have occurred in the last hour, including being pulled over and having his car set on fire by men who thought they were above the law. He is not letting this go as he faces the consequences of his actions. Jordan, a man who has been accused of racism and abuse of power, is held accountable for the actions of Logan. Logan's anger and fear are evident as Jordan refuses to engage in Logan's attempts to deflect responsibility. As the sound of sirens grows louder, police arrive to the scene and firefighters work to extinguish the flames. Jordan, who has been hiding behind his badge, is ready to file a report with the FBI. As the fire dies down, the scene transforms into a chaotic mess of flashing lights, hurried voices, in the presence of law enforcement. Jordan, now tense, is left with anger, frustration, and exhaustion. His patience has been tested, and his trust in justice has been trampled. As the scales of justice begin to balance, Jordan is left with a sense of control and justice. Logan is being questioned by fellow officers. Logan's arrogance and superiority have evaporated, and he is in deep trouble. Logan seems defeated, and his usual bravado has gone. Supervisor Dana King calls to discuss the situation. Jordan is frustrated and feels that the officers didn't believe him as an FBI agent. Logan set his car on fire, and when they didn't find anything incriminating, he threw a lighter into his car and watched it burn. Dana's frustration is palpable, and Jordan is ready to seek backup. They have called for more officers and the fire department's already present, but Jordan needs this handled properly. Dana firmly believes this is a federal crime, and they will pursue charges and involve internal affairs by the morning. Jordan is grateful for Dana's reassurance, but the tension in his chest remains unloosened. Jordan, an FBI agent, is dealing with a personal case involving arson and police misconduct. He is concerned about the consequences of the situation and is sending agents to document everything. The situation is personal and affects his identity and dignity as a black man in a country still viewed with suspicion. Captain Thompson, a senior officer, assures Captain Carter that the investigation will be thorough and that the officer's actions will be thoroughly reviewed. Jordan acknowledges that this is not just an internal matter but a federal crime, and that the officers committed arson and violated his civil rights. He promises to cooperate fully with any federal investigation and will submit a report to internal affairs. He expects full transparency in the process and is confident that the system will hold its own accountable. As Agent Carter leaves, Jordan feels a small sense of satisfaction, knowing that the road ahead will be long and that the system will not sweep this under the rug. Jordan is deeply troubled by the events of the night. He is frightened and desperate as he realizes the damage had been done. 2 black SUVs arrive at the scene, and FBI agents Dana and Agent Carter arrive to document the scene. Jordan feels relieved that the cavalry has arrived, and Dana will ensure justice is pursued. As the investigation continues, Jordan continues to fight for justice for all black people who have been wrongfully targeted, harassed, or mistreated by those in positions of power. The night has been a brutal reminder that the fight is not over, and Jordan is determined to hold those who wronged him accountable. As the early hours of the morning approach, FBI agents document the wreckage of Jordan's car, leaving only the smoldering remains of his car. Agent Daniels and his team work efficiently to take photos, take statements, and meticulously record every detail, providing Jordan with a small measure of comfort, knowing that the incident won't be dismissed or ignored. Jordan is deeply frustrated by the events that have spiraled out of control due to his race in the wrong place at the wrong time. He reflects on the initial stop, Logan's remarks, the escalating tension, and the reckless act of setting his car on fire. As FBI agents continue their work, Jordan sees the turmoil they are feeling for Logan, who had believed he could operate above the law. Brooks, who had made bad choices and was just beginning to understand the gravity of his complicity, lingers in Jordan's mind the most. He realizes that silence is as powerful and damaging as action in the system, and that Brooks's silence has cost Jordan his property and peace of mind. Jordan is dealing with a brutal incident involving systemic racism and abuse of power. Daniel acknowledges that the situation is not just about Daniel's charges, but also about ensuring that this does not happen again. Despite having a solid case, Jordan feels that true justice is still elusive. He is determined to push for the truth and advocate for the truth. As Jordan recovers from the incident, he realizes that the fight against systemic racism and abuse of power is not just about him. He is determined to ensure that this does not happen to someone else tomorrow. Donna King, Jordan's supervisor, arrives on the scene, a tall, commanding woman in her late 40s with a reputation for getting things done. She assures Jordan that the situation is being taken seriously and that the officers are taking it seriously. Jordan is grateful for Dana's presence, as she has always been someone he can rely on. Dana and Jordan Chase discuss the ongoing investigation, a man who had been a victim of the system. They acknowledge that the system allows such incidents to occur and that it will take more than just one case to change it. Jordan feels a sense of hope and determination to fight back, as he realizes that the fight for justice, equality, and the dismantling of the systems that allowed Logan to thrive is not over. He is determined to make this case part of a broader movement for change, pushing for real accountability and ensuring that what happened to him is part of a broader movement for change. As the sun rises, Jordan feels a renewed sense of purpose and is determined to make sure the light of day brings justice. He stands near the edge of the scene, leaning against one of the FBI vehicles, feeling a mix of exhaustion and anger. Jordan is shaken by the recent case against Officer Logan. He feels a shift in his belief in the rule of law and the justice system's ability to deliver fairness. As the case is wrapped up, Dana King, a dedicated agent, arrives to help. Jordan is grateful for Dana's professionalism and the team's efforts, but he is still unsure of how to articulate his emotions. Dana argues that the real problem is not just about two bad cops, but about a system that allows them to act with impunity. Jordan is not just a victim, but a voice for change, and people will listen to his story. Dana believes that the system should not be fixed overnight, but that Jordan's willingness to stand up and fight for change matters. Jordan is struggling to prove his worth and identity amidst racial bias and inequality. He is determined to hold Logan and Brooks accountable for their actions and fight for a future where people like him don't have to live in fear of such encounters. Dana, a supporter of Jordan, supports him in his fight against injustice. As internal affairs officers arrive to investigate the actions of Logan and Brooks, Jordan and Dana are determined to keep the pressure on. They will face justice and dismantle the system that allowed officers like Logan to thrive. The internal affairs officers, led by Logan, pull Logan out of handcuffs, demonstrating the importance of fighting for justice and ensuring that the case doesn't just end with Logan and Brooks. The fight against racial bias and inequality is a crucial part of Jordan's mission to change the system and hold those who have been wronged accountable. Jordan watches as Logan and Brooks are taken into custody. Logan's arrogance and his belief in his untouchability have crumbled, and Jordan feels no sympathy for him. Brooks, on the other hand, is pulled from another patrol car and resigned. Jordan realizes that his inaction had been just as damaging as Logan's cruelty. As the officers are led away in handcuffs, Jordan feels a small flicker of satisfaction, but it is not a victory yet. As the sun rises, Jordan feels a renewed sense of purpose, fighting for justice, accountability, and a future where the color of his skin doesn't determine his treatment by those in power. As the sun sets, the smoldering ruins of Jordan's car and evidence markers dotted the street, and the chaos of the night is replaced by the stark reality of what comes next. Jordan is ready to face whatever comes next, as the weight of the situation weighs heavily on him. Donna King spoke with Jordan about the legal battle against Logan and Brooks. She informed him that charges against Logan and Brooks would be filed within 48 hours, and they would face the full weight of the law. Jordan appreciated Dana's confidence, but couldn't help but feel restless. He had seen too many cases where officers walked away with little more than a slap on the wrist, even when the evidence was overwhelming the system. Jordan was not just another civilian caught in the crosshairs of police misconduct. He was an FBI agent with the full backing of the Bureau. Logan and Brooks wouldn't be able to hide behind their badges this time, and Dana vowed to not let this slip through the cracks. Jordan's thoughts were restless, as it wasn't just about Logan and Brooks, but the entire system that had allowed them to act without fear of consequences. Jordan is facing a long and difficult road to change. He is fighting against the biases and prejudices that have held him back from achieving success. His brother Dana is determined to use the case to expose the culture that allows men like Logan and Brooks to thrive. Despite the uncertainty of the case and the involvement of the FBI, Jordan remains determined to fight for change and expose the system's protection of its own. As the scene clears, Jordan is left with a sense of emptiness and anger. Dana, who has been through a lot, offers Jordan a chance to process everything and make sure the situation doesn't get swept under the rug. Jordan's car, once a symbol of his success, is now a reminder of the destruction he has caused. His brother Michael, who has undoubtedly heard about the incident, has also been a source of support. His brother Michael responds with disgust, stating that they still targeted him, highlighting the system's disregard for race and gender. Jordan, who has chosen to work within the system, is more vocal in fighting injustice. They both want justice, but Jordan knows he must channel his anger into something productive. As the morning sun rises, Jordan faces a long road ahead, filled with legal battles, media attention, and the fight for justice. He feels a sense of clarity that this is about more than just two corrupt officers. It's about demanding accountability for every Black person wrongfully targeted, harassed, or harmed by those who were supposed to protect them. Jordan is determined to fight for something much bigger, knowing he won't be fighting alone. The image of his car engulfed in flames, Officer Logan's sneering face and Officer Brooks' complicity haunt him,